Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Spirit Fed, Body Led. I am your host, Dr. Julie Tumoon, and it is a pleasure to be here with you today. You know, one of my favorite topics is, of course, living a life that is truly oriented on us, having our best experience, living our best life, but really living the life that we are meant to live. So to me, that means our divine template and the divine template of our soul. Like, what's the journey I came here for? And I personally believe that what's missing in most of our healing paths is us. I feel like a lot of times we go to doctors, we go to therapists, we go to other healing professionals, and the intent is to try to get something about us to change. So our body to change a symptom, to change a diagnosis, to resolve a disease. Or maybe we're going to see someone for mental emotional help and we want to change the depression we're experiencing or the anxiety we're experiencing. So we're always trying to get something to change. I'm all for change. I've devoted my entire life to transformation and change. But there's different ways that this can be looked at. So if the change ends up being that there's the notion or the thing behind it is like there's something inherently wrong with you that needs to change, to me there's a hitch there, because in every person I've ever worked with, somewhere in their consciousness, we often end up stumbling upon this sense of not fitting. Like that I need to change me to be worthy or to fit in this life or to fit in my family or at my job, in society, in the community I'm in, with the people at my kids' school. Like I need to change something about me. And that might be like, I need to change my weight. I need to change how I think. I need to change my personality or my hair or the size of my chest for that matter. We live in a world that is so preoccupied with us changing to fit, whether that's an internal fitting, like I want to fit the version of me that I see, or an external fitting, I want to fit in. And there's nothing wrong with changing. So I don't want anyone to get the impression that I'm saying that there's something wrong with changing. But what I do think is missing is that there is not a lot of attention put on you accessing the you-ness that is uniquely you. We don't even take the time to dive into what that could mean. Who is the me that is me? Who is this authentic me? What does this authentic me think and feel? What are the passions of this true me? What does this true me want to do with movement or food or sleep or daily activities? We so rarely ask this, what does this me, this real me, really want? I've asked so many women over time. I've probably been blessed to talk to over 3,000 women on free clarity calls that I've offered in my practice for ages. And in those 3,000 conversations, every single person was asked, what do you really want? The majority of the time, there's a pause followed by, well, I don't know. And that tells you everything. The I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. Well, then how would you make a choice as to what next steps you do, or what's the most important thing to focus on, or where the real challenge is if you don't know what you want? And so many of these women would say, well, I don't know. And then it would be followed by, well, I just want to feel better. And it's been the joke in my practice for ages that I have never seen anyone have dramatic outcomes when the motivation was, I just want to feel better. And maybe that's sad. Maybe it is, because why isn't that enough? I just want to feel better. But if you really look at that statement, it's already defeated. Like it already has this sense of like, I don't know if it really can happen. So the best I can hope for is maybe I feel better. When I hear that, I know I'm speaking to someone who has sadly become very disconnected from what they really want. So much so that it's now kind of a vast field of numbness. I don't know what I want. I guess I just want to feel better. They're afraid to ask for like their pain to go away because they've been disappointed so many times that they don't know if it's even possible. They're afraid to ask for hormones to balance because quite honestly, they haven't thus far. And whenever they talk to people about this challenge, if they're on the conventional side of medicine, they probably get a lot of like, it's all fine. The labs look great. There are no more hormonal problems. Or it's just age. You have to learn to live with it. And if it's on the natural side, maybe they're getting like, oh, well, your hormones can't balance because you have this, MTHFR defect, or your liver is clogged, or your gut is impacted, or you have an autoimmune disease, so we're going to need to detox this and then fix this and then fix this, 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 and this. And sometimes that list is just too daunting to approach. I know because I've made those lists for people and then I've had them made for me. So not feeling up to the slog $20,000 worth of detox and then not feeling heard by the system that says, oh, it's just age, or we already fixed that, so these symptoms are not that, you need to figure we don't know what they are, so I don't know what to tell you kind of answers. There's this numbness that can settle over people where they're like, well, I don't have the energy and I don't understand what's happening. So I guess I just want to feel better because I'm afraid to ask for all these other things, because every time I do, I get met with this big barrage or kind of a lackluster meh. And neither of those feel good. And meanwhile, what is often true is that no one's ever sat with them long enough to really find out. Like, well, okay, but what do you really want? This might take asking the question of yourself 15, 20, 30 times. Most people stop after ask one or two. I don't get any answers, I'm out. I've had so many people say that to me at various times over the years. I don't get any answers, so I stopped asking. But, there's even a teaching in some native traditions that something must be asked for a minimum of 4 times. That's fascinating because it made me ponder like how often we don't do that. This may sound confusing, but I sort of see it as like we ask the first time 1,000,000 times and we never ask time 2, 3, and 4. And by that, I mean the first time we ask for what we want, I think partially we don't totally believe we can have that experience. And then the second time we ask, we're committing a little more to like, actually, I'm asking this for real. I really do want it and I believe I can have it. And the third time, we're like, actually, I'm serious. This is what I want. And the fourth time, we are at the point of, I'm all in and I'm certain I can and I don't care what it takes. The energy changes, but most of us keep asking the first time 1,000,000 times. We're waiting to see, can I have it? And because of that, we never commit to what we really want, or we never really take the time. And when it comes to our being, this is really important. And I think it's because many of us have lost touch with our you-ness, our uniqueness, the you that is you, that makes you so special. We've lost so much touch with it. And because of that, like we're trying to be the you that we think will be most successful, the one that will be most liked, the one that will fit in the best, or have the most success, or become the most abundant, or be the most popular. Because those are kind of the templates we're given. I mean, I know that was true in my life for much of it. It was like trying to decode which me would have the most success or friends or love or be the prettiest or the most revered or the most considered smart. I can't count the number of times that I kind of look back with a shrug and a chuckle at me trying to be the me that would fit. And the funny thing is about healing is that it's our unique us that we're ultimately healing towards. We're healing to become the me that is me. But if we don't take the time to investigate, what does that mean? The me that is me. Excuse me. Who is that person? Who is that me? If I'm still in the trying it all on for feels, which is fine. It's what we do when we're young, right? We try it all on. Let me try on this version. And that's an exploration and a growth process. That's totally important in the world. But if we're still doing that when we've gotten a bit older, the truth is the thing that's missing is us. Who is this me? This is one of the places where I find that the alchemical approach to the 5 elements and discovering our elemental stack up, how those 5 elements are arranged in my own personal experience, because there are all 5 in each of us, but the first element, our first element, is the one that is who I am. Like, this is the flavor of this existence. And the second one adds information to that. It adjusts the presentation. It adds a strength and a wisdom. And the third also adds all of that, but it's also often the place we go when we're not empowered. So I actually find that a lot of people, when they're thinking, who am I? They're thinking from that third element place. And I know I used to do that because I was still trying to be the me that would get me the most. Not the me that is me, but the me that I thought would fit the best or get the most accolade. Well, that's me way out of power because I'm trying to become what others, an external force, an external human or group of humans or society would deem appropriate. And that's a failed proposition because that is not me. That's this version where I'm trying to acclimate to the world. And when we do this with our healing, if healing is the return to the full and truest expression of self, well, then in that, I will need to learn to understand how to be me. And I recently gave a class, and I can put the link if you would like to get access to the class. It was all about this topic as it relates to inflammation. And one of the things I brought up is that a lot of practitioners, and I will say, like, I spent time in this space as a practitioner, so I'm including myself in this conversation. A lot of practitioners are approaching the world from their own funky places. They're not grounded, centered, truly alive, in love with themselves, feeling free. They're still trying to fit into the world. So unfortunately, that's the lens that they're seeing. And this is where I see a lot of well-intentioned people give really funky advice. They're giving the advice through their own wounds and pain. They're giving the advice through the lens of the places they feel unmet, unseen, and unheard. They're giving the advice through their own fears about their own body or health or food. How many practitioners are terrified of food? I just saw it the other day. Someone put up a 7-day meal plan. They said, oh, it guarantees weight loss. It eliminated everything except for most green vegetables, root vegetables, nuts, and seeds. That was the only thing that it allowed for. And I thought, that's not a diet plan. It's an obsession with food, disguised as a way for people to heal. That's not a way we heal. That just made everything but a small handful of experiences banned or deemed ineffective or bad in someone's life. That is a way that we make ourselves feel small. We make the world feel foreign. When we have such a limited food list, the biggest consequence I see is that people stop feeling like they belong in this world. Because that's the evidence. I can only lose weight if I cut out all of these foods, which means I'm really not meant for this existence, because things that God made, I can't eat. Ever. Think about what that says to our soul. Think about what that says to the child self. Think about what that says to our body. If everything is a program to the body, a command, that command just said, we don't belong here. And this all to me stems back from the fact that because I believe all healing is the return to the truest expression of me, the me that is in fullness, which I believe is direct from the divine and fully expressed in the beauty of that. If all healing is the return to that, then if I have not begun to connect to that fullness of me, and then I'm picking foods, I'm going to pick food lists like that, almost as a punishment, because I see my body as flawed. I see the expression of it as flawed. I see myself as lacking willpower. I see myself as lacking any kind of commitment. And so I'm making really dogmatic, very narrow rules that I must exist within or else. It's actually an outcome of pain. Now, the funny thing is that when you have access to the fullness of you, you may at times adopt, a week of fasting, or you might do like a juice fast or a bone broth fast or a veggie soup fast or something. You might do something like that, or a water fast, but it'll be because there's a fullness of expression that's being honored by the experience, not because you need to control everything in order to get one specific outcome. Because when we're in our fullness as the biggest expression of our you-ness in the world, we're accessing the bigness of wisdom. And when we're doing that, now sometimes we do get the wisdom coming in. Hey, we need to lighten it up, or there's something that needs to be cleared, so let's do this in support of it. But see, that's an entirely different energy. It's an entirely different energy than control and punishment that's being enacted by the other plan. But when we go see practitioners, their first focus is not, where are you in the scope of expression of your you-ness? And how can I help you understand what that you-ness looks like? I know for me, when it came to my understanding that my first element is water, which means I need spontaneity. I need to let things flow. I need to do it at the timing that feels right to me, not some externally implemented dogmatic timing for big events in my life. I need to constantly engage my wisdom. I need to engage my wisdom by doing. I can't have to just sit and do the same thing every day. These are all elements of that water expression. And the thing is that I had judged some of those things to be inadequate because it's not really the model of the world. I have a funny schedule. If I need to record a podcast, well, I wait till the topic lands until the energy says go. Now, to someone else, that might seem haphazard. They might say, well, you need more structure for that. But I've actually found that a lot of times if I do more structure, the well of creativity diminishes. And so I judge that. Like, why can't I just stay consistent? Why can't I just do it like every Monday at noon or something? Because it's not actually my way. I get far more done by allowing the spontaneity of knowing when to move through me than I do by trying to control that flow and direct it to every nuanced place it needs to travel. Now, do I show up for appointments when I have them and clients are coming to my clinic? Yes. I don't do that on the spontaneity side. But I will orient the rest of that day that way. The treatments are that way. There's no set dogma of what's going to happen in a treatment. In alchemy, we're just following the path of the person. I don't have any intent or expectation of what that has to look like because it's their uniqueness leading the way. Which is why I love alchemy, because it's knowing that you are the medicine. Everything else is in support of that expression, not vice versa. The rest of the world, the way that I saw a lot of naturopathic medicine taught to me when I studied functional medicine, it was the same thing. A lot of the world does medicine. I'm going to tell you what to do. We'll figure out your you-ness later because it's not important. Most of the world does not have the impression that the function of your cells is directly related to the happiness you have expressing yourself fully and completely. but I believe it does. Because this is the one thing I've seen move the needle. When I've worked with women who have serious conditions, I've had women come to me that my honest initial impression was, well, they're dying. But that doesn't mean you can't invoke your you-ness. That doesn't mean you can't get more in touch with the truth of who you are. Maybe that makes dying gentler. Maybe you die with ease. So we still approach. And many of those people have had complete turnarounds, 180s in their health picture after working with hundreds of practitioners, because the focus stopped being about stopping the disease and started to become about them having the fullest expression of themselves and making who they are totally acceptable and lovely. And surprise, surprise, their cells began to change. Because the thing that was missing was them inhabiting their body. If you want your body to change, you have to be able to inhabit it. To inhabit it, you have to have comfort with who you are, be able to expand that in reality in the current moment. How would your liver detox if you're not within you? If you're stuck in your head or you're out in the ethers just trying to manage and control every little nuance of everything, how would your liver detox? All that it's getting presented is this overtaxed, numbed out, anxious, frustrated, angry, separate self. That's not a recipe for healing, which is why, again, it is about us accessing the truth of who we are and making this acceptance of self the cornerstone of everything that we do. So you can begin today. You could simply decide to spend the next 3 minutes after you finish this episode connecting with your body, feeling your breath. Why don't you start there? Remembering that you're this breathing being. Just noticing, what does it feel like to have breath move in and out of you? What does that feel like? What is the nuance of the sensation of your breath as your lungs draw it in and you feel the energy descend into your belly, and then as it comes out of the belly and up and out again and expressed, what does it feel like? What does it feel like to bring your consciousness into the only moment that exists right now, the you that is you breathing? What is that like? Not because if I pay attention to my breath, then my nervous system will quiet. And if I descend my diaphragm, then my vagus nerve will get soothed and then I will have less stress. Not because you're trying to affect a particular change, but because it is a sacred moment of just going, wow, I'm a being. Like, I'm a being here in this existence. I'm inhabiting this body that like the breath comes in and out, whether I pay attention to it or not. But when I do pay attention to it, it's like magic. That's one moment of presence. And notice how much it can just quiet the mind, shift the focus, clear your thoughts, even for 30 seconds, even for 5 seconds. That is you coming home to the you-ness that is you. This is the medicine that we so desperately need. This is Alchemical Chinese Medicine offers this. These are the sessions that I offer one-to-one, on Zoom or in person. Because when we do this, everything else now is open to shift. But if we try to put the remedies, the detox, the process, the IV therapy, the fancy body work, the lymphatic drainage, we try to put all of that ahead of this, we end up spending our life playing whack-a-mole with health things. First it's this, then it's this, then it's this, then it's this. Oh, now I've got a more serious diagnosis. Okay, now we're going to work on this. And it's exhausting. Now, mind you, it actually does not behoove me to tell you this if I wanted to run a classic medical practice, because I don't make a bunch of money off supplements selling you coming home to you, selling a path where you need fewer remedies the longer you go, selling a path that you truly start to become self-directed, self-supported, self-assured. You start to feel so voraciously alive. And you need less and less support and less guidance. You need less and less intervention. It's not the path of the person who's going to make millions off of you buying supplement packages for the rest of your life. That's for sure. But it is a path that defies logic. I've seen chronic conditions completely resolve. I've seen autoimmune go into remission. I've seen cancer disappear. I've seen people who had sleep problems for 20 years have them resolved. The root of it is each of those people embraced the path of their self-expression becoming whole, unique, and dynamic. That's the you-ness becoming alive. And from there, everything can heal. So as you start 2026, and whether you believe in the Gregorian calendar or you want to follow another calendar, it doesn't really matter. There's never a wrong time to say, over the next 365 days, which are going to traverse regardless of your attention, how do I want to finish the year? Who am I this year? Who do I want to be this year? What do I want the story to be as I'm finishing up the next 365 days? Do I want to say, wow, like I really got to know me at a much deeper level. I came into my power. I came into my grace. I partnered with my body. I finally feel like anything is possible. Or do I want to say, well, I did this great detox, and then I did this great protocol for my gut, and then I started on these great hormones, and I'm really getting a handle on things. Either path is fine, but just pay attention to who's choosing and why are you choosing, and what is there a craving beyond please manage these symptoms? Is there something further? Does your life force have a craving? Does your soul have a craving? Can you hear your body's craving? Because there's an unlimited magic there. And that's the path that I like to walk. It's not the path for everyone. I have worked with women who are like, I'm really not interested in any of that. I just want you to make my back pain go away, which is fine. It's beautiful. And there's a whole slew of women who are settling for the back pain going away when what they really wanted was to feel infinitely alive. If you're those women, I'd love to support you, and I want you to know that that path exists. You do not have to settle for, I did some breath work and my back pain. You can have way more than that. The you that is you came here to have a dynamically expressive life experience. To feel free, to feel like they're good no matter what, whether they're flubbing their lines in public or they're getting, sideways glances that like it's all good. There is an ultimate freedom to not needing to walk through the world armored up or ready for battle or fearing the next outcome with our body or with others, but truly feeling free. And that is what I wish for you this year. So go play with it and see what happens. Send me a note. Tell me how it goes. If you'd like support, send me a message. Send me an email. This is what I do. And if you'd like access to the free class I just did on inflammation related to the you-ness of you, there will be a link in the show notes for you to subscribe so that you can access that as well. I wish you a blessed day.